What I hoped I had made clear in Critical Path is that the inherently half-century-long design science revolution phase of attainment of universal economic success has been successfully completed, and now needs only the bloodless socioeconomic reorientation, instead of the political revolution to exercise humanity's option to make it for all. I hoped that Critical Path made clear that 53 years ago I anticipated today's transition of humanity from 150 nations operating independently and remotely from one another to an omni-integrated world family with all that socioeconomic transitions, conditioned reflex stressings, and shockings. I hoped that Critical Path made it clear that the world data integration I initiated more than a half century ago has kept growing into a comprehensive record of the invisible design science revolution being achieved only by ever more performance, realized for ever less energy, weight, and time units invested per each increment of accomplished living refunctioning, and that more than a half century ago, I reduced my design science human environment augmenting structures and technologies to full-scale physically working demonstrations of their advancement of technological advantage to economically accommodate an around-the-world pulsatively deploying and converging kinetic society. I hoped that Critical Path made it clear that if I or some other individual had not taken these anticipatory initiatives more than a half century ago, the comprehensively integrated physical gaining for all, now to be immediately attained simply through inaugurating the mass production phase of its already developed prototypings, then the design science revolution could not now be realizable. It would take another 50 years to do the Critical Path work, and we now have only 50 months within which to exercise our option to convert all earthian industrial productivity from killing-re to living-re products and service systems. I hoped that Critical Path made it clear that lacking the accomplishment of the design science revolution while also undergoing the transition into a one-world amalgamation of humanity which we are now experiencing, humans would have been catalyzed only into a world-around social revolution of the same bloody historic pattern of revengeful pulling down of the advantaged few by the disadvantaged many. I hoped that Critical Path made it clear that the accomplished design revolutions, prototypes, and developmental concepts now make possible for the first time in history a bloodless social revolution successfully elevating all humanity to a sustainable higher living standard than ever heretofore enjoyed by anyone. I hope that Critical Path made it clear that despite the reality of humanity's option to make it for all humanity, my own conclusion as to whether humanity will do so within the critical time and environmental development limits is that it will remain cosmically undecided up to the last second of the option's effective actuation, knowing that beyond that imminent moment lies only the swift extinction of humans on planet Earth. The Critical Path I committed myself to in 1927 was, and yet is, that of applying all technology and science directly to accomplishing the mass-produced components for advanced living-re for all humanity, instead of continuing to invest the advanced science and technology inadvertently falling out of the weaponry industry into the living-re tools industries. This Critical Path was inherently a 50-year path.